Welcome back to the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. I'm Will. That's Brandon. As always, let's cheers and let's talk about some wrestling, huh?
Best part of the week,
Mm-hmm.
hands down.
We made it through a month.
Barely.
Can't thank everybody enough. Doing well. Doing well on most of the platforms. Having a lot of fun. Getting a lot better.
Well, I don't know about a lot better.
Yeah, the word a lot's kind of hyperbole there.
And the word better is kind of subjective.
Yeah. Anyway, we're trying.
We're not scientific as much, maybe.
Bear with us. We're getting slowly and slowly better at this. Thank you everybody who has supported so far, especially on like TikTok. We're doing great. YouTube videos are fun, so go ahead and check those out. Try to post at least 4 of them a week. So good amount of content out there.
Yeah, trying.
Anyway, in this 5th episode of the podcast of the weekly pod, we're going to start out with what we normally do, our pops and drops from this week of wrestling. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about the Forbidden Door maybe opening within the WWE. And with that, we have a lot of free agent talk going on literally at this moment. Good stuff. One thing that we haven't talked about on the podcast yet, we are going to be discussing the Uncle Howdy stuff going on within the WWE and what that may be, or what we think that should be. And then we'll get on to our fantasy match of the week, brought to you this week by me.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Good one last week. A lot of people were disagreeing with us. They said Perk Angle would destroy Bret Hart, which I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong. I was pleasantly surprised as well, but that's specifically why I didn't want to pick Perk Angle, because Perk Angle is beating anybody.
Perk Angle over everything.
I wanted to take Angle before Perk Angle. You
know? I was just thinking about it like logically through the eyes of WWE booking, but then like our entire fan base is like, no, fuck that. Mm-hmm. Perk Angle would kill that man.
Yeah, which sign me up,
Sign me up.
Bret Hart instead of Bill Goldberg just keeps saying Perk Angle.
Perk Angle. I got it.
Wasn't
Perk Angle dropped me on my neck.
Yeah.
Broke my ankle. All right. Let's move on to our pop or drop of this week. Would you like to go first or me? I don't know who did it last week.
You can go first.
Okay.
I gotta give some time to think here.
I'm going to talk about my drop first. I like talking about the drop first. End on a high note. My drop is something that we alluded to in the SmackDown Popper drop, but I have been thinking about it ever since. I mean, we filmed this on Saturday, so ever since last night. Well, I've been thinking about it really ever since Mania. WWE cannot figure out a way to make Bayley a relevant champion, and it gets on my nerves. She's great. Bayley is great. She's put on some of the greatest women's matches in WWE history, which is wrestling history, and she is phenomenal on the mic. And yet they put a strap on her, and then that's just it. They put that belt around her waist, and they just push her into the desert, and they say, find water. They do that every time with her. Every single time. And it frustrates the hell out of me. And now, from SmackDown and Queen of the Ring, I guess it's coming to a short end because they're going to feed her to Piper.
Yeah. I don't have much to add.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unfortunate. I think almost everybody that I know, at least, likes Bayley.
Yeah.
She's one of those 4 horsewomen that have been around for a while, and I mean, I feel like she's maybe the most supported. Like, Charlotte's very polarizing. Either you hate her or you love her. Becky, I feel like, has lost a ton of steam. So people really kind of got behind Bayley, and people were excited for Bayley to have that championship match.
But when it comes to Becky, I feel like it's almost the opposite of Bayley. Because like Becky has lost steam because WWE pushed her so much and gave her so much over the last 4 years that people are like, whoa, oversaturated with Bayley or with Becky. Mm-hmm. Bayley, it's like they give her the belt and everybody's like, yeah, like just waiting to, yeah, and then they're like, what do you? Well, she has belt. Aren't you happy?
Bayley has belt.
Bayley has belt.
I wonder what it would be like if they pushed her. Like, I wonder if people would get tired, kind of like they did with Becky.
They gave her an actual rivalry.
But I think that Bayley would be better than Becky from the sense of Bayley's better on a mic and better in the ring. So it's like her overall character and performing is better. Just something. Just give something,
Please, anything.
So I guess that takes me to my drop.
Mm-hmm.
My drop is kind of a weird one, I guess. It's not super specific, but we're about 2 months after WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna drop just the SmackDown title scene as a whole.
Mm.
I get we had Cody and AJ, and Cody and Logan Paul, and I guess we're getting Cody and AJ again.
Mm.
Logan Paul hasn't defended that belt in 200 days. SmackDown tag titles haven't really been defended.
And they're about to fight each other.
And they're feuding. You have the Bailey one, which you just mentioned.
Yep.
The women's SmackDown titles, or I guess
They're both.
kind of both, but like I don't really feel like a SmackDown tag team is going to take those belts. So just overall, the SmackDown title scene, I get we're starting to pick up some steam, starting to pick up some rivalry, some storyline, things like that. I know it's really tough with Mania, Saudi, Clash. Like you've got some events kind of sandwiched together, but they could have done a better job of laying out like, hey, maybe at this one we have this title, and this one we have this title, and this one. So just overall, the importance of the titles, I feel like, is not there. I feel like they're all afterthoughts.
I mean, I think they're officially establishing some direction.
Mhm.
Like with that, I mean a literal just like tiny arrow on the map. We haven't started moving in the direction, but they at least know we're going east here.
Yep.
Like, because now you have AJ and Cody are officially going to be a rivalry now, and now you have Bailey and Piper are officially a rivalry. Logan Paul and LA Knight are going to be officially a rivalry now. So you have the beginnings, but yeah, it's taken way too long to get to this point, especially after WrestleMania. I'm glad that Cody's been defending the title.
Mhm.
At least he's been doing that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the United States Championship has always been the lesser of the mid card titles, but it felt good there for a little bit with Cena. And you've had some champions that felt like it was established a little bit more, but it's back to feeling like, oh yeah, Logan Paul has this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of while all the prestige was being put on the Intercontinental title,
Yeah.
and rightfully so with Gunther doing that.
Yes.
The United States is really becoming an afterthought, and just all those titles on SmackDown. Like I said, I appreciate that they're finally going somewhere. They're finally doing it, but it's like, dang, we really just kind of wasted 2 months of just a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah,
You want to go to your pop, or do you want me to go?
I'll go to my pop.
Okay.
My pop is also from SmackDown. Raw was pretty weak this week, so SmackDown kind of gave me my pops the week. NXT was also good, but my pop for this week is going to be LA Knight calling out Logan Paul for the championship, because that is the rivalry that I have personally been looking most forward to in terms of stuff that's been rumored for months and was always basically confirmed. Ever since it was first rumored that LA Knight versus Logan Paul SummerSlam, it's like, duh. And we're officially getting that. He officially called him out. I can only foresee phenomenal promos. And Logan Paul has shined in every match he's ever been in. We've all criticized LA Knight's in-ring work. So this is a good opportunity for LA Knight to prove that he's worthy in the ring, because you got to think how much of Logan's success has come from the great opponents that he's been in the ring with. And you could probably say that LA Knight is the weakest of his in-ring work opponents. Not talking about his character, just his in-ring work. So it's a very interesting matchup that way. Maybe even Logan Paul can start carrying a match, on his back and prove that he's really that guy. I just think it's all good. All good comes from that.
Yeah, all good comes from that. Like you said, LA Knight's definitely the weaker of all the people that Logan's faced. So it'll be interesting to see how that's kind of works its way out in the match. I think LA still obviously leads a little bit, but you'll have at least a little bit more Logan influence than just like, hey, follow me, kid. So that'll be nice to see.
Yep. Your pop.
So my pop, I always go for weird ones. I'm going to go with the NXT women's mid-card title.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
From Sexy Red. I understand
well.
the mainstream appeal, and I understand why she's out there. Sexy Red. There's red plating on the belt. Maybe that's why. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about that real quick. It's nice to have a mid-card women's title. I feel like the main roster probably needs to do it as well. There's just so much talent in the women's division right now for singles competition, and the belt looks great.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
The belt is
I
phenomenal.
mean, obviously we're big belt guys. Holy, that belt looks nice.
Yeah.
And like you said, the women's division in NXT is stacked.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, the future of the women's division and all of WWE is bright.
Yeah.
Because they have stars from top to bottom. And it's nice to see. I can't believe NXT did it first, but they did. And it's a perfect roster to do it with. It's a perfect looking title. So yeah, I didn't think about that. That's great. That's a great pop.
Yeah, you can put it as like a kind of like a trial run to see how it does. And
Yeah.
if it does well, you bring it to the main roster, which I think is pretty inevitable. But
yeah,
I mean, just a great overall. I don't know how anybody could hate that.
Yeah, and when they bring a mid title card, I think they should bring a white version of the Intercontinental title for the women's Intercontinental Championship. Sounds sick. And you could do what they did with the red accents in the women's North American title. You can do blue accents in the IC one. Have you seen the mock-ups for that? With the white strap on the current IC title with blue worlds on it. Ooh, it'd be going right here. It'd be going right there.
That's where we need the winged eagle there, though.
That's true.
We need more space.
We do need more space.
I guess we go up here.
Just take the American flag down. Put more belts.
Anyways, only right.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of NXT, we'll get on to our next segment because NXT has cracked open the forbidden door just a little bit. Just lights shining through a little bit. Jordynne Grace, who is what is she? She's the TNA Hardcore Knockouts champion.
Knockouts is
yeah, she's one of them. She's been on the show before. She's been on the show before, but she officially is here. There has been rumors reported by PW Insider, who is very respected in pro wrestling social media, that there are tentative plans for TNA and WWE to do a lot more work together. So this is the official opening of that forbidden door that WWE has been so against forever and ever. Are we liking that? Are we not liking that?
Yeah, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier in the week, kind of like a rapid reaction when it first happened. And I was kind of against it a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm full supporting of it, but I guess I'm more positive now.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful because we saw it in AEW and that kind of just got its way lost.
Yeah.
But more so I'm excited because WWE, they haven't done anything like this since Vince first had the company. I mean, like very first when they go to like Japan.
Right.
So that's, oh God, I don't even know how many years. That's decades. So it's going to be nice to have them work with somebody else. And Triple H is kind of giving the people what they want in a sense. And it's just nice to see somebody just think a little bit outside the box, whereas WWE for so long was just like, these are our guys, these are our girls, no exceptions. And it's nice to see kind of that new blood.
Yeah. I'm always for it because obviously then you start dreaming of dream scenarios, dream match scenarios, stuff like that. But it gets muddy fast.
Yeah.
Forbidden doors can get muddy fast. AEW proved it.
Doors can jam,
I guess. While we get amazing matches like Ospreay against Bryan Danielson, which took over and did amazing in AEW, that's great. Your weekly to weekly programming of establishing your own titles becomes extremely hard to do. And we had some comments, obviously, as you alluded to, we did sort of a quick reaction to this earlier in the week where we didn't go too far in depth, but we just wanted to get something out to get a feel for what our audience thinks. And there were a couple comments about when you open the forbidden door and they're on your weekly programming, your titles don't mean as much because you're not the only boy in town anymore. So your world championship doesn't mean, it's now equal to that TNA championship because you're both world champions. The belts say it. So it's hard to manage that. And I obviously trust Triple H, and I don't think we're ever going to get like a TNA invasion over NXT or something of that extent. Like, I think this is very much going to stay a cracked forbidden door where one guy, one girl, tag team, very small stuff like that happens. So I'm not worried about WWE going over about it. But in this dream scenario where the forbidden door with TNA fully opens, you gotta book it correctly. It has to be done really, really well, or else you lose a lot of credibility in your own product.
Yeah, and that's a great point by the people in the comments, and I know we talked about it a little bit as well with that being the case. I guess that's my thing is like you said, just one person, two people,
Yeah.
maybe three. Like you don't want to overwhelm it and kind of oversaturate it because the title. It's a great point. You already have an issue establishing some of your titles.
Yep.
Right now, so why would you come in and bring somebody else in?
Well, and also like I couldn't imagine a world where this actually bleeds into the main roster on Raw or SmackDown.
The only way I could do it is, and I agree. I would say it's more so probably NXT.
Yeah.
If it does go into main roster, it's got to go to Raw because you got 3 hours to fill and you got the time.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully, I mean, it sounds.
I can see the WWE going back to TNA more than I can TNA coming to the main roster.
Oh yeah, you mean sending guys like to TNA show? Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
right.
I think I lost my point, but it's one of those things where if you're WWE, you're the big dog in this, and if you're bringing guys over from TNA, just make sure that they boost your stars up more than anything. Don't have anybody coming in here and working over anybody from WWE because that really will set them back.
Right.
When eventually this TNA stuff is done and we never see them again, people are like, well, this superstar lost to that loser that we never see anymore.
Mhm.
So I don't like him.
Yeah, and I guess one quick little point, and then we can wrap it up and go on to our next point. It is a great potential thing for people like us that are kind of diehard fans, and some of the audience that's kind of like more diehard fans.
Yep.
For the casual fan, I don't think it's good because the casual fan, it makes
Yep.
it really difficult.
This is what I, in our quick take earlier in the week, that's what I said. I said, if you're a casual fan and you open this forbidden door, WWE's now telling you there's more homework, right? If you wanna keep up with this stuff, like a lot of us do, because we love it, and we keep up with most of it. But even we aren't TNA watchers very much. We
Right.
keep up with the general storylines happening, but we're not sitting there watching weekly programming at TNA like it's religion. But you're telling casual wrestling fans, hey man, there's another show on that you gotta watch. Add this to your schedule, and that can become overwhelming. Speaking of Forbidden Door, I just thought about this off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. We're doing it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. Quick take. If you could schedule one AEW versus WWE match, who would you be? Who would you?
I knew this was gonna be kind of like
Yeah. Who you taking?
AEW, WWE.
If you could fantasy book one right now on the next episode of Raw, an AEW superstar versus a WWE superstar, who would it be? What would the match be?
Oh my God, you got to go first because you've got a thought in your head.
Oh yeah.
I need to pick my WWE guy. I know my AEW guy, so you go ahead first, and then I'll go.
Oh, for me, it's easy. I would book. We already saw it in AEW, but it'd be awesome now that he's champ. It's Cody Rhodes versus MJF, and you have them work like a shoot rivalry about like Cody being a mentor and then leaving to WWE. That storyline would be awesome. MJF would cook.
Yeah. So are we doing one rivalry or just one off match?
I guess.
Because if you're doing a one off match,
if we're doing a rivalry, then I want MJF to retire John Cena.
If we're doing a rivalry, MJF's got to be your AEW pick. I don't really care who you pick WWE wise, but MJF has to be the AEW pick. If you're picking like in ring one match, I got to take Ospreay.
Oh yeah. What about MJF versus LA Knight?
That would be
that Mike War would be insane.
I would sign up for that. I would maybe go with. It sounds kind of weird, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this.
If you say Mercedes Moné, I'm walking off. I'm walking away.
Walking away. I would take somebody like Ospreay versus somebody like Logan Paul. Legitimately.
Oh, dude, they would have a banger.
Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense from a true wrestling perspective. But in terms of like just the athletic showcase, I would sign up for that.
Man, if you thought Cody didn't sell his finishers, you wait till Will Ospreay takes 17 of those.
Yeah, and Ospreay would destroy Logan. I mean, Logan's face would be all beat up. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not the correct answer. Honorable mention, I guess, from AEW is probably Swerve, and I mean, I still love
Swerve and Hayes.
Yeah, which, I mean, Swerve was in NXT for a while, so I don't know if that happened, but Samoa Joe as well. Give me like Samoa Joe and Braun Breaker or something. Like just two monster people. I like Samoa
Well, I always like Joe, and I was sad to see him go. Speaking of guys going, we have a bunch of free agents in the WWE right now.
What a segue.
What a segue.
Professionals.
One was rumored for months and months and months of we didn't know what was going to happen, so we'll start with him. Speaking of MJF as well, he comes back on Double or Nothing last week. Looks phenomenal, by the way. He kind of had like a Wolverine haircut going. It was sticking up, shredded like Wolverine, out of his mind, but with the dumbest tattoo in the freaking history of the world on his leg. Oh God, what are you doing? Bet on yourself, MJF. That is the most cheesy, corny thing. I love MJF, huge MJF stan, but that's the corniest shit I ever seen. But it was rumored for a long time that he may be making his way over to WWE. He's been one of those guys in the post match or post show press conferences. He's name dropped Hunter and WWE a million times.
And Pritchard and all those guys.
Yeah,
he really does his homework on like.
He is a student of the game, and it's amazing. But he's back in AEW. What do we think about that? I mean, I think yes. I thought this was way more likely than WWE happening.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I guess I held out hope.
I mean, yeah, always hope.
But I guess it speaks to the volumes of how good he is because he did have a lot of people fooled thinking that he is going to come over with how he, like you said, he name drops after some post matches and stuff like that. Overall, I guess though for AEW, like for him coming back, it doesn't really move the needle for me. It's just kind of like, cool, MJF's back. I'll watch his stuff more specifically. But
oh yeah,
AEW is so hard to watch that he is head and shoulders above everybody else. That it's just like I would like to see him go do something else because he is so much better than most of that talent over there.
my thing is just like, obviously, I thought he was going to come back, and he belongs in AEW. He was part of the original grouping that really got them to the heights that they have seen in the past. But it is like, what the hell is he going to do right now?
Well, I mean, he came back and beat the hell out of Adam Cole.
Yeah, I saw that, but we'd already seen that.
I mean, do it again.
Do it again.
Just keep doing it again. Well, and with AEW, it's hard to say like, what are we going to see? Because like this week he beats up Adam Cole, and then like in 3 weeks he'll beat up Orange Cassidy, and then the week after that he'll beat up Excalibur, and
side tangent.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Side tangent, the podcast is what we call this podcast. Side tangent, the podcast.
We need a
Adam Cole should be headlining WrestleManias at this point, and instead he's just doing BS. Sorry, on AEW. I mean, that's a whole other topic for another day. But I mean, God damn, man.
You know me, I love Adam Cole, but he the injury concerns definitely a little bit like.
Well, he sustained the big injury while he was in AEW. So
exactly. But it's just one of those things that I get why he went there. He wanted kind of some more freedom. I wonder if he kind of regrets it because it does seem like Triple H grants more freedom in a place where there was kind of some uncertainty in WWE.
That is true. I do have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Is that when he left, things were bad. So
yeah,
can't hate on that.
Yeah, can't hate him, but man, I would like to see him do something.
Speaking of AEW, Ethan Page shows up to SmackDown.
NXT.
NXT. He shows up to WWE as a official roster signing. Wrestling social media went crazy like Ethan Page was MJF, but I wasn't as excited, but it's cool to see. Looking forward to what he does in the NXT. This is how they should do it. Get a guy like Ethan Page can thrive on NXT. Happy to see him there. I mean,
yeah, it's a great spot for him to go. Obviously, I like
Ethan Page.
He's got the recognition from TNA beforehand and AEW, so he's been around a while. Still fairly young though.
I was about to say, how old is Ethan Page? I was thinking about that this week.
I think he's still fairly young.
Okay,
I'm gonna say like 33, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's got some time left. I see what you mean about the internet thinking he's the Undertaker or Goldberg or something.
Dude, they reacted like I hope I wasn't watching NXT live. I always record, but I opened my freaking Twitter app. I was like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Ethan Page.
You would have thought that Shawn Michaels came out and of retirement and delivered some like it was a little over the top, but it's a great spot to put him in. to see kind of where he can kind of go. I don't know though what they do long term wise because there are so many guys on both shows already that it's like I know they were sending people down to get more screen time on NXT, but now you have another person come into NXT.
Oh yeah, we didn't see Baron Corbin this week.
So he was at the well, we're here in Kansas City, and I texted you about it. He was at the Big Slick Celebrity Softball game.
Did he play?
Hmm?
Nice.
Yeah, he missed a ground ball.
Missed a ground ball.
Went right through his
like
legs.
He was fielding it? Oh, yeah.
Yep. Reached down, went right through his legs. But he tried. So it was nice to see him. He's always there with the community charity stuff here in Kansas City, but I'm assuming maybe that's why he wasn't
I don't know.
on TV.
Probably not. Probably just because he didn't.
Or because it's Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
And he'll give Baron Corbin some.
He'll pop up like Apollo Crews in a couple weeks where he's just on the TV when we come back from commercial break. We have 2 more big free agents that are happening. One has happened as of last night, and one is happening as of the end of Raw on Monday. Becky Lynch is no longer a WWE superstar, technically, at the moment. Her contract is done. She is not extended, and she is, quote unquote, it was reported that she's, quote unquote, taking a very long hiatus. She also posted a picture for Seth Rollins' birthday, and she said, "I'm finally coming home on it." This isn't the end of Becky Lynch in WWE, is it?
No.
She's not going to be an AEW guy or girl.
No, I think
Mercedes Moné against Rebecca Quinn.
Yeah. I think I almost said Rebecca Black. It's Friday, you know. That's what I almost went with. So you go ahead and you look at it. Becky Lynch is coming back. She's going to take some time off. Her and Seth. Seth obviously had the surgery. They've got the baby still. I guess really not even maybe a baby at this point.
Yeah,
the toddler. But I would assume a Rumble.
She may go get pregnant again.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I for wrestling's sake, I hope not, because then she'd be gone for roughly like a year and a half, 2 years. And at that point, it's like, dude, how much time does she have left?
Yeah, but if there's any wrestling couple that deserves this time off, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch they've smashed the expectations from both of them. We get on Becky a little bit for being a little Becky fatigued, and I think that most WWE fans feel that way. But she had to be put in those situations for years and years because no one else was really stepping up in that time, and she did it, and she did it with all her might.
Yeah,
and Seth Rollins obviously couldn't even walk after his final bump at night 2 of Mania, so they deserve it. Take your time.
They're kind of in the same spot. Just obviously one on the men's side and one on the women's side. The old reliable, like, hey, nobody else is stepping up. Like, hey, let's just give this belt, let's give the ball to one of these two because we know what we're going to get. So that's obviously been one of my favorites for a while. So they deserve the time off. I assume one of them, if not both, come back in at the Rumble probably. Kind of build towards next Mania.
It's one of those things where, now is a time there is a big, 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 big gap with Becky Lynch being gone and Rhea Ripley being hurt. Gives opportunities. Someone step up. Hopefully Liv has a good title reign, and hopefully somebody else can break through the barrier and make their way to being a headlining star for the women.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the worry, I guess, is we hope Liv has a good title run, but like you got to have somebody for her. I don't know what that looks like. But
Dom kicks her ass for the women's title. We have one more free agent though this week. I believe it's as of Monday night after Raw. Chad Gable will be full on free agent as well. His contract's expiring. I know that we say this type of stuff, but Drew McIntyre worked for like 2.5 months with WWE on a weekly basis, off contract, and was a full-time superstar without having a contract. So I'm guessing that's what Chad Gable is going to do here too. But it's just something to note that he's in the middle of a big feud, and if something were to happen, Chad Gable could walk away during this big storyline they're doing. So it's just something to watch, and hopefully that doesn't come to that.
Yeah, I don't think it will either, but it is interesting to see that you have somebody like a Chad Gable that's put kind of in a prominent storyline, and now all of a sudden their contract's up. Yeah. Typically with WWE, when people's contracts are up, Obviously, Drew's the kind of one exception, like you mentioned.
CM Punk.
Well, yeah, but
Money in the bank, baby.
but usually, at least in the last 10 years or so, when those contracts are getting close to being over,
Yeah.
those people are just off TV for.
I mean, Becky got the belt ripped off her, right?
Yeah. So
they were like, "We're gonna rip the belt off you, and you're gonna do a steel cage match tomorrow night." By the way,
yeah,
or
there we go.
Monday night. You're gonna lose your belt Saturday. Then you're gonna do your 15-hour travel flight to wherever Raw was this week, Georgia, I think, or something like that, and then you're gonna get thrown into a steel cage, and then you can go.
Yeah, and then you can leave. So it's interesting. I think Gable's a WWE guy through and through. So he's kind of one of those smaller, kind of maybe low key. I didn't want to say low key. That sounds weird, but low key like corporate guys.
Yeah,
like company guys. Just
he's
whatever you need.
He's
like,
been a Dolph Ziggler-esque guy for years in terms of just being a workhorse for them whenever they need him, whether it be dark matches or getting a guy over or little storylines. So I think he's a businessman. But this comes at the same time, reported by many, many, many social media outlets over the past 24 hours, 48 hours, that 12 of them, at least, that the average salary for main roster people on Raw and SmackDown and within the WWE for main roster, so Raw, SmackDown, is $350,000. So it's cool to see that. It's cool to see that we now live officially in a time where this is a big time profession for these guys. Because there were years, CM Punk alluded to it when he left originally 12 years ago, whatever it was, that they treat people like shit. But it seems like we are in a new era. Hopefully, Becky Lynch comes back. Hopefully, Chad Gable gets a good contract and everything's back on track.
Yeah. Not much more to add.
No. One topic that we have not been avoiding, but we just haven't gotten into because there really isn't much to get into still to this day.
Yeah.
Little stuff on every episode is this Uncle Howdy return. We've been seeing it ever since Mania, after Mania. Started with people reporting who were actually in the crowd. If you go on Twitter or Instagram or whatever and you type in Uncle Howdy teaser, you can see that during commercial breaks within the stadium or the arenas at these shows, lights start flickering and there's weird music that plays. They don't show that on TV. And then, of course, everybody has seen the QR codes every episode that leads to something crazy.
Yeah. And every show, there seems to be something else. They even put, I guess it's probably about 2 weeks ago now, they put like an hour-long video on Twitch, WWE's Twitch page. It's been something, I don't want to say weird, because I mean, that's obviously what they're going for, but it's been nice to see something outside of the realm of just your normal in-ring, like, hey, I don't like you. Well, I don't like you. Well, let's fight about it. So it's been nice to have something like that. I feel like they're still unsure of probably what to do.
What's our expectations with the Uncle Howdy thing? Because here's why I asked
Him himself?
That. Just overall with it, because here's why I ask it. The Fiend was incredible.
Right.
The greatest thing the Fiend ever did was the Firefly Funhouse match. That match was not in front of anybody. It was pre-recorded. The Fiend's in-ring work. It's hard to translate such great storytelling like this, where it's all spooky and stuff, to actual wrestling match.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about if they had any sort of writing down from Bray before he passed on where he wanted the direction to go with this. They're gonna succeed in that aspect. It's a matter of Uncle Howdy's gonna be played by former Bo Dallas character, right? His Bray's brother, real life brother, who got released a few times over the years because he wasn't a great in-ring performer. So while I hope the Uncle Howdy stuff works out and I hope it blows our minds and it's a great lead up, I'm just a little I'm a little worried about it.
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm probably on the fence, or on the side, I should say, of, I mean, you built it up for so long, it's going to be weird to say, but I think it probably only lasts 3 to 4 months. I mean, I think in terms
so they're going to build it for 3 months and it's only going to last 3 months?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it sucks to say that, but I just don't think that Bo's got the legs to kind of carry it. So I think initially you're going to have that like pizzazz factor that everybody wants to watch, everybody wants to see it, everybody loves this sort of thing. But it's more so like, what do you do after this? Like, do you introduce the six like one at a time to give it more legs, or do they all come out at once? Or there's so many unknown questions that I don't know what they do. But if you look at the six that are rumored, I'm kind of just like, well,
It,
Bray would have been able to really carry those people, but I don't know if Bo can do that.
and here's my another fear I have is where do they introduce this on the card? So do you go after Cody first because Cody's still not going to drop the belt, even
Those
after?
are the rumors. I mean,
Yeah, I mean the rumors are pointing everything to Cody, which I think would make it DOA. It'd be dead on arrival because Cody's still not going to drop the belt, and that at the end of the day, that's what it is about. It's that big old gold championship. So if you have Bo Dallas come or Uncle Howdy come back, goes crazy on Cody, and then they end up feuding, having a match, and Cody just wins, then it's like that was fun.
well, I don't say this to be mean, but that's pretty much what they would do with Bray, right? They have
They
Bray
ki-
come back.
They killed the Fiend on the night that Goldberg beat him.
Mm-hmm.
It was over.
Yeah,
It was
so
done.
I mean, and then they keep bringing him back, and oh man, this is really cool. This is really cool. Well, we're not going to give you anything. Well, we're not going to give you anything. So that would be par for the course for WWE.
Well, they gave him the belt for that couple week stint where he turned it into the Fiend mask belt,
Mhm.
which was just awful. But you know,
I don't know what they do, but I do like like you said, it's tough to translate it in ring, but the random kind of videos and QR codes, it's different. But I don't know what they do. I'm a little hesitant. It's got to be on Raw though, I would assume. Raw's 3 hours.
yeah, I don't. Well, if they're coming after Cody, it's got to be SmackDown.
That's the other. Well, but then they always just and people just bounce back.
Cody hasn't been on Raw in a while, which has been nice.
No, and I guess maybe they bounce back and forth with like mid card talent more. But like I wouldn't be surprised if one random Monday here in a couple weeks
I think you have
after
to turn.
Clash at the Castle.
You remember when Bray Wyatt tried to and got for a few weeks, he turned Daniel Bryan on to be part of
Oh, the Wyatt family.
the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
I think you need to immediately do something like that. You need to have Uncle Howdy debut and turn someone who's like really over and really important and with a lot of character and get them possessed or whatever it'll be. And obviously you're not doing that as Cody because Cody is the merch seller and he's the top guy. But if they were to come and attack like you could do like a Jey Uso. He's got nothing to do right now. He goes from doing the yeets to the crowd, and the crowd's wanting it. They have the yeet lights out, and he just walks out, and he's completely possessed. And then week after week, it'd literally be the same thing as the crowd yesing Daniel Bryan back to life when he was part of the Wyatt family. It would be the exact same storyline there. So that would be an interesting way for Uncle Howdy to debut.
That would be interesting. My first thought when you said possess somebody, you got Cody, SmackDown superstar, somebody that's had history with the Wyatt family, and somebody that's had history
Orton?
with Cody would be Orton. Not in the sense because like I really want that because I think Orton's doing some really good work of his career, but he's worked kind of in that same realm with the Wyatt family stuff before. He knows Cody somehow, some way. Eventually, we think that they're going to challenge each other eventually anyway. So maybe you go that route.
It kind of makes sense because Randy's got supposedly 6 more years, right? He's 44. He wants to wrestle till he's 50. He said it. You can't. I mean, we've had 20 years of the Viper and Legend Killer, right? I feel like one of these 6 years has to be something different. At least I don't know if he could get another 6 years of being toward the top in the title scene a little bit at all times with just the Viper character. As much as I absolutely love and adore Orton.
Yeah.
So that'd be something where, if he were to do something weird, be taken over by Uncle Howdy and them, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think there's so much time, like you said, left in him that you got to do something. You got to make a splash. You got to have him attack somebody prominent. You can't have him go and attack Apollo Crews, So
This is supposedly in one of the QR codes, some genius on the internet broke down the fact that he would bet his soul on June 17th, which would be the Monday after Clash of the Castle. is supposedly when all these QR codes are leading to a event happening, whether that be Uncle Howdy showing up or some sort of big presence happening on the show. You know, that would lead to they're not having him debut at Money in the Bank, so that would lead to probably a SummerSlam thing. Right now you're looking at Logan in LA. You're looking at Nia has a match. You're looking at Gunther as a match. You're looking at whoever wins the match between Drew and Damian. They're gonna fight. That's Gunther, obviously. That leaves, unless they're wanting to do a 3-time thing with Cody and AJ, that does leave one person. So is it all signs pointing to Cody at this point? Do you start with someone random? Do you start with someone small that doesn't have a title and you just keep a title completely away from Uncle Howdy and you just have him dominate some talent like a shit? I don't even know, like a Jey Uso. I think everything
keeps coming back to Jey Uso.
I mean, it just makes sense at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great choice. I don't think you go after somebody too big. You don't go after somebody too small. You go after somebody that's like that upper mid card, low tier main event scene. Somebody that's not kind of in like the title picture right now. Jey Uso is a good bet. I just don't know how that would be because Jay hasn't exactly been the greatest character, as we've alluded to before. So we're gonna have.
I would disagree. I think this would be what we have been saying over the past few weeks. It would be we have broken down Jay into us thinking that all he really has become is a Yeet character. This would be the deep story that would get him back into the deep character that he once was in the Bloodline story.
Yeah, I guess yeah, that's a fair point. I just am a little hesitant, a little worried about he did so great with the Bloodline, I think because he was comfortable. If you take him out of his comfort zone and you have him do this like weird trans like lucid state thing where he's like a zombie possessed guy, I just don't know how that's going to come off with him.
Well, I think the crowd would be begging him to come out of it. And then whenever you do come out of it, whether that, they can make a splash on Raw and immediately take his powers. And then SummerSlam is the point where he gets his Jay's back to being Jay, right? He breaks out of it at SummerSlam and then he's in a stadium with 60,000 people doing the Yeet Lights. That could be a
book it.
Yeah, honestly, book all of this. I'm calling this shit when it's SummerSlam night and all over the internet. You're seeing ESPN posting 50,000 people doing the Yeet Light thing.
Well, and Jey Uso is the Yeeter of worlds or whatever, so he's been hinting at it that like
he did hint at it. Good point.
So yeah, I mean, the more we're talking about it, I guess yeah.
Jey Uso is the one.
Something. Yeah. I don't know if I like it, but yeah.
Anyway, Uncle Howdy is quickly approaching, and hopefully, because you can only do QR codes for so long as being your intro. It's like a worse way of the old Chris Jericho countdown timer. That's pretty good, huh? You like it? Well, that brings us to our fantasy match this week.
Christ.
Brought to you by me. I went, I was, my last fantasy match was weird. Obviously, I did the Yeet Lights for CS chance, which doesn't make any sense in terms of it being a wrestling match, but it was a good little, if, this or that. We've done the big streaks guy. We've done a lot of big time matches. Mm-hmm. And last week was a good change up and it made me think real hard. And I was like, when people on the internet or when people were replying to us about Owen Hart and Bret Hart or just how Bret was fighting Owen during that time. And I don't care about, a lot of people were saying Perk Angle, as we said earlier, but the people who were taking it in the same light we were as actual wrestling booking, they were like, oh yeah, during this time, Bret Hart was with Owen or was having 5-star matches with Owen and that's better than anything Kurt Angle could have ever done, stuff like that. I just got to thinking, I was like, how am I going to top this? What have we done so far? We haven't touched tag division at all.
No.
So I wanted to try something there. Tag division. What could be interesting there? Is anybody in the tag division now interesting to me enough to put them in there? No, not really. As much as I do like the Street Profits, and I've loved the Usos over the years, even though they've gotten a little, well, I guess they haven't fought in a couple of years, but over the years they got a little, And then I was like, well, Bret and Owen. Okay. Bret and Owen Hart. They're a pretty good tag team.
Yeah.
What if they went up against probably the most recognizable brother tag team in the history of tag team wrestling? So I'm going to say Bret and Owen Hart versus a team of Matt and Jeff Hardy. Put this in, I didn't think of a setting, but we do need a setting. So I want to put it right dead in the middle of their times of being together. Or like their times of their heights. So like the Hardy Boys, when was their peak? It was probably early 2000s. Was when the Hardy Boys were at their quote unquote best, doing the extreme stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like 01.
Yeah,
maybe.
01, 02, around there. And then the Hearts, oof. I couldn't tell you when Bret and Owen Hart. Anyway, put this match in like 99. Right? So Hart's coming out of his peak of being the guy in all of wrestling. He's still up there, but he's not, the eater of worlds, Bret Hart. But we have the brothers versus the brothers. Bret and Owen Hart versus Matt and Jeff Hardy. Tag team action. I want who wins, and I want who gets the pin over who.
Well, I kind of wrestled with this idea back and forth. I don't think 99 is a good time to set this with one of the participants.
Okay.
So
Take that out of it. All right, we'll put it in 2035, all right? And they're both in their prime.
Okay. I just was stating a fact.
God.
Just was stating a fact. So it is an interesting question because you have a clash of styles. So you've got Bret and Owen who are much more technical, much better in the ring, but you've got the Hardys that I think are a better overall tag team.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm going to go with the Hardy Boys just because when I think of tag team wrestling, more so on the Bret Hart side of things, I don't think of him and Owen. I think of him and Jim Neidhart. So I think of those two. So him and Owen, I think would still be really good, but I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the Hardy Boys. I'm going to pick Jeff getting the pin over Owen. I feel like that's probably the best way, the most logical way. Bret's not taking a pin. He's not doing it. He's not doing it to these purple-haired guys.
Oh, could you imagine Bret Hart across the ring from like the weird like mesh sleeve?
Yeah.
That's Hardy Boys, and they're doing their shit.
It's just not happening. So I think Owen would have done the job. I think.
Do you think this match could even work? Do you think the Hearts could wrestle a tag team match stylized in the era of Bret and Jeff and Matt? What in the world would they do? They could Jeff and Matt. It was like they were trying to find a way to almost die every match at one point.
Yeah.
And then Bret and Owen are doing like submission maneuvers and grapples.
Yeah, I think you start the match off with maybe like Owen and Jeff going at it, and then you have Bret tag in and Matt tag in, and Matt's always been kind of like the better in-ring guy of the Hardys. You have Bret work over Matt for a while. You end up getting some sort of hot tag, and then kind of go towards the finish a little bit. That's kind of a simpler version, but I think that's kind of the way you go about it. I think Owen is would be much better working with that style of high flying from the Hardys.
That's messed up.
Bret, I didn't mean that like that, but Bret just, I mean, history wise, he just has never really meshed with those kind of guys. So yeah, give me some sort of twist of fate, swanton bomb sort of thing. Maybe Bret got knocked out on the outside. Maybe Owen had somebody in a sharpshooter reversal type, knocked out to the outside of the floor, and here comes boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, the more I think about the actual match itself, I just don't think it would work at all. I'm literally like the entire time you were talking, I was just in my head like, can I picture this match even happening? Not really, really can't. I'm next week after this match, no more Bret Hart. This is my fault, but no more Bret Hart. Whenever
Women in two.
I know. Whenever I think about the
Too,
logistics, like
too many. Let me tell you.
the logistics of a Bret Hart match against anybody post like 2002, just doesn't work. And but if these two tag teams got in a ring, you bet your ass Jeff Hardy's tapping to a sharpshooter from.
Oh, that's how you're going about it.
Yeah, I mean, Bret Hart is locking one in. Matt's passed out on the outside of the ring or something. Yeah, I don't. I see Owen taking some swantons, and I see. I don't even see them. I don't even see the Hart brothers letting the Hardy brothers get much offense in. But like I don't see Bret in a high flying match at all. Like I can't picture it in my head. All I see is the Hardys doing one or two high flying maneuvers where where either Owen or Bret roll out of the way. Jeff's hitting the mat at an awkward angle where his neck almost catches
he's
it.
Hitting a turnbuckle, or
Yeah,
he's doing that thing where he runs across the barricade and they just move out of the way.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly. It's just the Hardy Boys taking cool bumps where Owen and Bret don't get touched at all throughout the entire match. I see it even happening. I see like a double sharpshooter where Owen and Bret both have the Hardy Boys in a
Okay.
sharpshooter.
Well, AEW did it, and I know it's been done way before, but like you could have the double sharpshooter, and then one of them goes to tap, and then the other Hardy's like, "No,
No,
you're not
no,
gonna
no."
tap."
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you could do it
Who's
that
stopping
way.
who?
I-
Jeff would be the one to tap, and
Yeah.
and Matt would be like, "No, don't tap."
Yeah, I think that's pretty. Yeah. I think I guess it depends on what you think, because the Hart brothers are the more technical wrestlers, and they're kind of the more, I guess, badass, for lack of a better term. Like, they're stronger. They would much more like a shoot fight. They would destroy the Hardys. But in terms of like tag team wrestling, for some reason, I just think like something about that tag team bond that the Hardy brothers have that, like, you know what, I'm going with the Hardys.
That's why I had to do brothers versus brothers, because they both have a tag team bond.
So
even
you
though
talk-
even though I agree with you, I see
So you
I
talked
see
about
Jim.
the brothers, and you were like, "Well, we got the Hearts," and I was like, "Oh, the Brothers of Destruction." Yeah, that's where my mind went.
I didn't know. I mean, I actually, when I was thinking about it, I definitely went through Brothers of Destruction in my head. But not only are they not real brothers,
Hey, whoa!
but I mean, come on, we gotta save the Brothers of Destruction for a bigger match than this on the Cousins of Destruction podcast. Like, I literally thought about that. I was like, I can't pull that card this early in
Can't
the
do it.
podcasting.
Can't do it yet.
We're only 5 weeks in. There's no way we can already pull that.
That's why we're starting out with the small stuff, aka Bret Hart.
Did the Brothers of Destruction ever fight the Hardys? They were around. Like they weren't around the early Brothers of Destruction time, but they had multiple stints of being the Brothers of Destruction, like even into the mid 2000s, right? Like Ball
Even
Kane.
mid to like late, like almost like 2009.
I was about to say they had like 4 or 5.
They had
stints.
a random run where like Taker and Bald Kane in like 2011 or something like that. So, but I don't know if they ever did. I feel like they didn't. They just never crossed paths.
Could you imagine a match with like the Hart brothers and the Dudley Boys?
Maybe next.
Get the tables, Devon, and Brett's like, no,
Maybe
no
next.
tables, no furniture.
This is not wrestling.
Like a Jim Cornette. Oh, they're getting the furniture out right to start the match, and I just thought this was awful. he hates furniture.
Yeah. There's a time and place for furniture, you know. But
Bret Hart invented the ladder match. Him and Shawn. Wasn't that the first ladder match of all time?
Yeah.
You sure?
You talking about a WrestleMania 10?
No.
First of all,
No, they weren't. It wasn't at WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's a ladder match before the WrestleMania 10 that's famous, but I don't think it was Bret and Shawn.
Bret and somebody. I don't know. Anyway, you said Hardy Boys win that matchup. I say the Harts, and that will be the end of our Bret Hart on this show for the foreseeable future. I don't want to hear Harts.
The tag team, I did like the tag team element. I think that's something we haven't got to, obviously, which we'll probably get into maybe more next week. But it's a weird match.
Yeah. The more you think about it, actually, it's just a difference in times of wrestling. It's like trying to imagine Andre the Giant fighting Braun Strowman. because Braun can move so much better, and Andre invented the stand in the middle of the ring if you're a big guy. So
Yeah. I really don't know. I'm gonna stick with the Hardy Boys, but I tell you, I don't know if I'd want to watch this match.
no one would. Absolutely nobody. Absolutely nobody. Anyway, we are now 5 weeks into this show. Things are going great. Please follow us on all socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, and listen to us wherever you get your podcast. We post 4 podcasts and 4 videos per week. So listen to us on wherever you get your podcast, or you can watch it on YouTube. Great stuff. We post shorts everywhere. So just give us a follow and help us keep building, keep having some fun with this. Until next time, I am Will. That is Brandon right there. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.